I think a few things to know. One is China's still going to grow 5.4%, 5.5% this year, as it did last year. So it's not catastrophic.
But it could be a four handle, right? It could be a lower four handle.
It could be. And I think China's going through a very major transition from sort of old economy focus to new economy focus. And you see that obviously in the property sector, which has been a disaster. But you see it in some of the other heavy industries, where Chinese are effectively scaling back relative to the rest of the world. But with huge growth in the new economy. I mean, those transitions, they've happened in every country that's gone through the development cycle, usually accompanied by a financial crisis, I must say. When it's happened in either of my homelands, the US or the UK, it generates real financial stress. And I think the Chinese are absolutely determined to avoid that financial stress. And they've done quite well so far. So I'm very optimistic about the Chinese economy in the medium long term. Short term, it's okay. The financial stability is unquestioned in China, which I think is a huge testament to the good hard work. What's it mean for our business? Well, as China is under more and more pressure to drive its own trading agenda, they're turning to banks like ours ever more. So we've had record results in China. Our offshore business, which is about 2/3 of the total, grew over 35% last year. It will continue to grow this year. The onshore business is slower, and that's reflecting the economic stresses that you mentioned. But it'll still be 6-7% growth onshore for us, with a reasonably low level of customer stresses.
US politics has had some bearing on China, though, in recent years, and that started with Trump. It's continued on with Biden. I was talking to a major European CEO who's talking about diversification across to other economies, and obviously up for debate after we saw Iowa and the caucus for Trump. If he returns, what does that mean in terms of the rebuilding that Biden has had with China? Do you need to be mindful of diversifying to other Asian economies just in case the geopolitics get in the way from here?
We got a keen eye on geopolitics, and I think at the end of the day, the U.S. and China were and remain and will be for some time pretty interlinked. And the likelihood that it would be wise for any president, whatever their description, to aggressively disentangle would be very bad for the U.S. economy. Of course, it would be bad for the Chinese economy. It would be bad for the global economy. Nobody really wants that or needs that right now. So I think they call it the slight re-engagement that we're seeing through the Biden administration. We visits from the Commerce